Hello, and in this tutorial today we'll be using the Big Twist Loopity Loops yarn. This color that I have here is called Pastel Multi, and the reason why I chose it is for the plan pooling idea of making a basic blanket for a child. You'll notice that on the band it says no needles, no hooks, all hands. But I do suggest a pair of scissors for when you have to add another skein. You want to line up your colors so that they will be in the correct order. I did want to point out also that even though this looks like a big loopy skein, the yardage on here is only 15 yards. I have purchased 6 of these to make this blanket that I plan on doing today. I'm going to show you how I did my colors and also use planpooling.com for the graph. So to begin, you do want to separate your band and open it up. Now this is one that you do not pull from the center. You're going to want to bring from the outside. One more thing I wanted to point out is when you do purchase your yarn, make sure that all the numbers here are exact. This way you'll know it came from the same lot, manufacturing date, and that way you'll know that your colors are basically from that same roll, so you don't have to guess at are my colors correct or not. So here you can see that my loop has already fallen forward for me. The nice thing about this is in crochet or knitting you would have to knit a row. This eliminates all that. So I am taking the beginning of my yarn here and I'm going to make sure it all lies flat, and then I'm going to find the color repeat. Now you can see here this starts in yellow, it goes to green, pink, white, pink, green, yellow, white, and here's where my repeat starts again. Now of course I can stop and start anywhere. I could start on the green, I could start on the pink, but because this particular one starts off with 3 yellow, just like I have back here, 3 yellow, I'm going to go ahead and keep it and start there. So when I go to planpooling.com, I'm going to go ahead and place these colors and how many loops I see at the beginning here. Now you'll notice too that you do have half where the color is changed, so you want to move on down and see how many loops is the average, to make sure that when you put your numbers in it'll all come out the way it's supposed to come out for the pattern that we're going to achieve. The pattern that I'm trying to achieve is the Argyle pattern, which is a pretty popular one that everybody likes using when doing the moss stitch in crochet. But because this is for the no hooks, we're going to go ahead and follow this pattern here. So let me arrange my camera and we'll go ahead and start with the plan pooling. Here I wanted to show how to take the color that we're using and change it to our loops. So you'll notice my cursor is right up here at the first bar. If you left click onto it and place the little plus sign, it'll change that color. And then click out of it. Now by default, the numbers came with what they did. Just place your cursor in there, backspace. My first color had 3, so I'm placing 3 in there. My second color is the green, but I'm going to give it a little bit different color green. And by default, it started with 10. So I'm going to delete that 10 and place in 2. So for the rest of this, we have a total of 8 colors. So I'm going to add my colors up till I get to number 8. Going back to number 3 on my color here, it is the pink. And you'll notice here also by default, they started out with a number 5. So I'm going to backspace and place in number 3. On to my 4th color, it is white. And of course, by default, they put in the number 5, so I'm going to change that to 2. Color number 5 for me is pink. So I'm going to go back over here to pink, and I'm going to change my number to 3. Color number 6 is green. Seems like I am very popular today. That's why you hear all these other little ding ding dings. So for color number 6, I scanned down and I found that it is mostly a 2, so I'm going to change that to 2. And color number 7 is yellow, and that has 3. Whoops, not 53. Remember to remove the number 5. Color number 8 for me is white, so bring the little cursor down, go back in here and change that to 2. Now you notice that it added up all these numbers here and it gave me a total of 18 colors. So, or 18 stitches in this particular row. That means that of the 3 yellow, the 2 green, the 3 pink, the 2 white, all those colors are right there, that very first row. But I want to make a blanket. So let's go ahead and increase the amount of stitches that we would like to have in our first row. Of course, I'm trying to get an argan stitch look. Notice here I place in 5 stitches longer. So I want mine to be a little bit longer. Here you can see I'm starting to get close to an argan style. Let's go 5 more stitches longer. Okay, so now here's where we're going to use the 1 stitch shorter or 1 stitch longer. It will actually add more color. Okay, you can see how we're starting to get a little bit of a pattern, and there's a little bit of an argan. Let's see what we get. Oops. So at 50 stitches, we've lost it completely. So here's a small argan looking pattern, and just kind of play with it to see when you use the stitch longer or shorter. Here's one at 41, and I like that one. Let's see if we went, oh, so here I can use 41, and this will give me my argan style. I made the screen smaller so that we can bring it all together in a lot easier format. After we've set up our colors and decided how wide we wanted our blanket to be, you want to set up the type of knitting. Now, in this one it says flat back and forth knitting, and if you click on the little black button, it'll bring down circular in the round knitting and flat back and forth knitting. Click on the flat back and forth knitting, and this will be what we're going to use. Now our first row and our first color is right up here. Okay, so here's our yellow. Here's our yellow. We had 3 loops. Our second color is green. Here's green. We have 2 loops. 3 for the pink. For the white, we have 2, and so on. So, to make this the simplest you're ever gonna make, count 41 loops from the beginning all the way down here. You'll have 1 loop right after your white, and that'll be your 41. I'm going to show you what to do there in just a second, but I wanted to point out a few other things about this particular planpooling.com website. Right here, down here at the bottom, it has a video explanation of how to use this site for crochet. It is an excellent video. It's done by Donna Wolf from Nastasia.com. And here she shows you how to use a crochet hook on how to make sure that you the amount of stitches that you have for whatever color work exactly. Her video is wonderful for this crochet. But since we're using the loops, we will not be using any hooks. So I'm going to show you how to do this way and how to move up to the next row, which will start here, and we're going to go this way across. You see I'm on the second row and then on the third row. But to be honest with you, after you start the first row and make sure that you complete the beginning of the second or third row, you won't even need the chart, because all of the colors will fall into place. And hopefully that as we go along, some of these half loops and all this other stuff will work out just fine. So let's get back to our loops and start making our blanket. So here I have my loops laid out in front of me. The best thing for you to do is to make sure that all your loops are going up in the same direction, okay, and opening with the left on the left side and the right on the right side. Okay, and so if your coloring is the same as mine, where we're starting with the 3 yellow and the 2 green and the 3 pink, go ahead and lay it out and start counting across until you get to number 41. So for video purposes, I have limited the stitching down to 21 from the 41. This will still give us our argon, and there's also some little trips and techniques that we will need to follow in order to keep our color on top of our bright color plan. As before I stated, we will start up here in the upper left hand corner and work across, and then we will come down and work across and such. I know I gave you the information for the larger one to make a blanket, but I have found that in the process of making this video that I noticed a lot of techniques that needs to be followed, so I am making a smaller version. So now that I've gotten a lot of the explanation from the internet explained, I'm going to go with the 21 process. I found that by the larger ones, the larger amount was going to take up more yarn than I needed for this tutorial, so I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the techniques that I have discovered in doing plan pooling for this loop yarn with these variegated colors. So when you have your color amount, make sure you follow the color plan number that you have. Mine was 3 for yellow, 2 for green, 3 for pink, 2 for yellow, 3 for pink, 2 for green, 3 for yellow, and 2 for white, and then here I am back at my beginning again. If you don't follow those numbers, the pictures that you have from your plan pooling graph will not give you the same results. So I found that as I got all the way down on the last 2, this was the end of my row. This yellow starts my second row. So to begin a second row, it's very simple. Just take the next loop and go right through the center of that loop, making sure that the loop is flat, the right side on the right side and the left on the left, no crisscrossing of the loops. Okay, so this particular row we're supposed to have, according to my graph, I'm supposed to have 1 yellow here on the bottom, and then I'm supposed to carry over 2 yellows. But you can see here that we have almost 4 yellows. So sometimes you're going to have to take some of these loops and place it on top of the color that you want to show on top, and then put it in the loop. That's the only way that I figured out that you can actually make this plan pooling work. So if you're at the end of your row and it shows that you need a yellow, then you pull up your yellow. Your second color is a yellow. So we're going to go on to our second row, take your loop and just go right into that color, and then we're going to be working back this way. Now you'll notice here that this one has is partially a green, which would make my green count off. So I'll be taking that loop and making it so that they overlap each other. So this yellow loop will go into the second loop right here. You want to try and keep them as flat as possible. So I'm going to take this loop and put it on the bottom, and then my second loop right here is green. I'm going to take both of those loops and pull it through. Now remember, when you pull these loops through, try and pull them all the way up to where the bottom of the loop meets, and you'll see how they'll all be up forward and flat the way they need to be. So here my next color is the green, and then according to my graph I have 3 pink. Okay, so here I'm showing 2, but still this will be okay because it's showing part of a pink. So the next one goes into the next one, and remember to pull it all the way up. Okay, and then I have white. And I notice sometimes you have to flip-flop these loops to either side. But the nice thing about all this is that this yarn is extremely soft. And then basically you can just kind of carry on, making sure that your loops are all the way up, so when you start your second row it'll be correct. And as I can see, according to my graph, my colors are already matching the way that they're supposed to. When you get to the end of the row, I'm just going to show what you have to do is you pull up that loop, and then the next loop automatically goes into that last loop of that last row, and this new loop will start the new one, and then you can start hitting across this way. So have fun with it, give it a shot. You'll love the results, and it is super soft. And this particular yarn that I got did come from Joann's. It's called the Big Twist Lippity Loops. It is really fun. I enjoyed it. Hope you share your project with me. I am on Facebook and Instagram under Garnet is a Jewel. Thank you, and bye-bye.